At the beginning of the drama, Nabi goes to her boyfriend's sculpture exhibition. There, she sees a piece made by her boyfriend, which was Nabi's erotic sculpture. Seeing it, everyone feels that she is very, very hurt. And the people present there are also thinking, why did the artist name this art piece Nabi? Just then, her boyfriend calls her from behind, and as soon as people hear her name, Nabi, everyone starts staring at her. Nabi, being very, very embarrassed by this incident, leaves from there crying. In some flashback scenes, we see that Nabi's boyfriend is very, very controlling. He always forces Nabi to sleep with him. Nabi was so lost in his love that she herself had no idea of right and wrong. In the present, Nabi asks her boyfriend, "Shouldn't you have told me before making the sculpture?" But her boyfriend doesn't listen at all, and on the contrary tells her, "You don't understand anything." The next day, when Nabi's friends find out about the sculpture, one friend says, "Making a sculpture of your girlfriend is not a bad thing," and the other friend finds all this to be nonsense. A little later, when Nabi is sitting in a room making a sculpture, an unknown lady approaches her and says, "Your boyfriend is having an affair." At first, Nabi doesn't believe the lady's words, but when she sees her boyfriend kissing another girl with her own eyes, then the ground slips from under her feet. That same evening, when her boyfriend meets her, that boy again starts telling Nabi his useless stories. Nabi then breaks up with him, smiling. A few days later, we see Nabi is very, very happy, as if she has been freed from a cage. In the next scene, Nabi meets her friend in her sculpture class. There, her best friend Crystal used to use a dating app to change her partner. Crystal tells Nabi, "I absolutely do not like guys with tattoos." Then Nabi tells her, "Not every guy with a tattoo is bad." Hearing Nabi's words, Crystal starts to suspect her, and she asks, "Have you met any guy with a tattoo?" So Nabi flatly says, "No." So Crystal warns Nabi, "Don't use the dating app, because your taste in men is very, very bad." Saying this, Crystal leaves from there. Then she starts thinking about the night of her breakup. After this, Nabi is sitting in a restaurant. Just then, an attractive guy approaches. That guy mistakes Nabi for his blind date. But when Nabi says, in a confused state, "I don't know you," then that guy understands, my blind date was not her, but someone else. A little later, when he comes back and sits next to Nabi, Nabi asks him, "You had a date today, right?" So that guy says, "I canceled that date for you." Nabi finds that guy's words very, very charming. So much so that while talking to that person, Nabi had even forgotten about her breakup. Nabi and that stranger played darts together. Then she asks him, "Do you like to travel?" So the stranger tells her, "I will definitely travel somewhere by the end of this year." Nabi asks him, "With a friend or with a girlfriend?" The stranger replies, "I don't know yet." After their conversation, that guy teaches Nabi the game, and this time, Nabi's dart hits the target straight. Nabi is very, very happy about this. Then Nabi notices that the stranger has a butterfly tattoo on his neck. When the stranger is drawing a butterfly on Nabi's hands, Nabi asks him, "Do you also have a butterfly tattoo on your neck?" The stranger says, "Yes, because I like butterflies." After drawing the butterfly, Nabi tells the stranger, "Why did you get a butterfly tattoo after winning the darts? You could have done something else, right?" Hearing this, that stranger comes close to Nabi as if he is going to kiss her, but Nabi, with slight hesitation, pulls back. Both smile. A little later, when both are outside the restaurant, the stranger offers Nabi a cigarette, but Nabi refuses. "I don't have a habit." Just then, a drunk girl comes to them and asks the stranger for a cigarette. Before that girl can take the cigarette, Nabi herself takes that cigarette and starts smoking. When she feels a little uncomfortable with the taste of the cigarette, the stranger takes that cigarette from Nabi and, turning his face towards her, asks, "Will you go see butterflies with me?" Saying this, he again leans towards her to kiss, but Nabi makes an excuse of going to the washroom and leaves from there. When Nabi then sees that the same stranger was talking lovingly to someone on the phone, Nabi doesn't like this at all and she leaves from there. The next day, Nabi tells her friends about this encounter. Then, her friends notice that Nabi has a butterfly tattoo drawn on her wrist. Both ask her about that tattoo, but Nabi doesn't say anything. Just then, another friend of Nabi, named Seol, comes into the same room. Even without wanting to, Nabi has to go with her to their professor's cabin. Seeing Nabi's college performance, the professor tells her, "You should give up your dream of going to another country to study because your grades are quite low." After talking to Nabi, that professor shows Seol Nabi's list because Seol's grades were better than Nabi's. Therefore, the professor tells Seol, "You should go to one of these universities." Then Crystal asks Nabi to go on a date with her junior, but Nabi refuses this time too. In the evening, when Nabi goes to the restaurant, she meets that same stranger outside the restaurant. There, Crystal tells Nabi, "This is the same junior who wanted to meet you for so long." Nabi then goes inside with him. Crystal introduces her to everyone. Then, Nabi finds out the junior's name is Jaeyeon. A little later, Jaeyeon tells Crystal, I planned this gathering only to meet Nabi. Hearing this, Nabi starts blushing. Then we see the bonding between Nabi and Jaeyeon was getting even stronger. Just then, a waitress who is serving drinks drops something. Jaeyeon immediately helps her. Nabi doesn't like it at all that Jaeyeon talks to that waitress, so she gets up and goes outside and sits on the stage. A little later, Jaeyeon comes to her, and they both go to get ice cream for everyone. While coming back from the ice cream shop, Jaeyeon asks Nabi, "Why did you behave in front of everyone as if we were meeting for the first time?" Nabi says, "Because I didn't even know your name." Jaeyeon casually says, "But that day we both came quite close." Then, Nabi takes the marker from his hand and starts writing on the pizza box. Jaeyeon, seeing the butterfly, asks, "Why haven't you erased it yet?" Nabi says, "I tried many times, but it's not coming off." Then he asks, "Nabi, did you never think about me?" Nabi says, "I am quite surprised to see you today." Jaeyeon says, "I am also very happy to see you here." Both give ice cream to everyone. After the party is over, when everyone is going home, Jaeyeon gets a message. Nabi casually asks him, "This message isn't from your girlfriend, is it?" Jaeyeon says, "I don't have a girlfriend." Nabi says, "Bye," to him and leaves. But Jaeyeon feels a little depressed. After reaching home, Nabi keeps thinking only about Jaeyeon the whole time. She waits for his message, but no message comes from Jaeyeon. The next morning, Nabi starts searching for Jaeyeon all over the college, but when she can't find him, she returns to her work. Then her professor scolds her because her art performance was not improving at all. After the professor leaves, Jaeyeon asks Crystal, "Did everyone pay for last night's drinks?" Crystal says, "Yes, everyone's payment is done." Nabi gets a little worried hearing this. Seeing her face, Crystal understands something because they are talking about Jaeyeon's payment. Crystal explains Jaeyeon paid for everything last night. A little later, Nabi and her friends are going to hang out. Just then, Taekyung tells his group, "I left my Bluetooth headphones in the workshop." Hearing this, Nabi tells her friend, "Don't worry, I'll find them and bring them." After Nabi leaves from there, her friends think how kind Nabi is. But in reality, Nabi just wanted an excuse to meet Jaeyeon. Upon reaching the workshop, Nabi notices that two girls are admiring the butterfly sculpture. Then, Nabi finds out the sculpture was made by none other than Jaeyeon. Jaeyeon sees Nabi when he is lighting a cigarette. Nabi is on the phone there, but her entire attention is on Jaeyeon and those two girls. When Nabi finds the Bluetooth for which she had come there, she then leaves from there. A little later in the studio where Nabi is working, Jaeyeon comes and asks, "Why did you come back without talking to me?" Nabi explains, "I just went to get the Bluetooth." Later, Nabi accidentally spills paint on Jaeyeon's face. When Jaeyeon lovingly says, "Remove the paint," Nabi puts more paint on his face. Jaeyeon throws water on her, and both start having fun. Seol and her best friend see them having fun like this and say, "Nabi and Jaeyeon look quite good together as a couple." A little later, Nabi is making her sculpture. Then Jaeyeon removes his name from the sculpture. A little later, when both are going out for fresh air, Jaeyeon tries to get a little closer to Nabi. Nabi is liking all this, but for some reason, she creates a little distance from Jaeyeon. Both go and sit on the party stage. Jaeyeon asks Nabi, "Why do you work in the workshop late at night?" Nabi says, "Because I love making sculptures very much." While talking, Jaeyeon asks about Nabi's further education. Nabi tells everything, but as soon as the conversation starts getting a little personal, Nabi distracts herself with her hair and says, "Personal talks are quite boring." But Jaeyeon says, "I don't find them boring." Both exchange their phone numbers. Then Nabi notices that Jaeyeon's lighter also has a beautiful butterfly on it. Seeing the butterfly, Nabi says, "I want to see butterflies near the beach." Jaeyeon immediately says, "Then let's go, come with me." But Nabi refuses and says, "Videos will also do the job." Jaeyeon shows her the same video that he was previously showing his friend. Nabi starts smiling watching the video. Seeing Nabi's smile, Jaeyeon moves a little forward to kiss her, but Nabi again moves back a little and tells him, "Let's go for a drink." Jaeyeon says, "Yes." Jaeyeon again flirts with Nabi and again moves forward to kiss her. This time, Nabi also moves towards Jaeyeon. After this, Nabi and Jaeyeon are about to kiss, but Jaeyeon gets a phone call and he has to go out for some work. Nabi gets a little upset because their first kiss was missed. The next day, in the cafeteria, Crystal tells Nabi, "Jaeyeon is not your type of guy." She gives an example. Jaeyeon is like a flower, which attracts many butterflies, but cannot belong to any one butterfly. Nabi doesn't believe Crystal's words and says, "We are just good friends." Hearing this, Crystal smiles and says a famous dialogue, "A boy and a girl can never be just friends." To that, Nabi says, "I have other male friends too." Just then, Jaeyeon comes to them and sits next to Nabi. Crystal, seeing Nabi and Jaeyeon together, leaves from there so that they both can spend time alone. Jaeyeon tells Nabi, "I want to take you out in the evening." Nabi says, "Yes, on just one condition. Just don't take me to some weird place." In the evening, Jaeyeon takes Nabi to a club, which is a very noisy place. Nabi is quite irritated by the noise there, but as soon as Jaeyeon starts dancing with her, Nabi concentrates only on Jaeyeon. While dancing, Jaeyeon again tries to kiss Nabi, but this time too they can't kiss because Nabi gets pushed by someone. Nabi starts feeling a little awkward and goes to the washroom. When Nabi comes out of the club, she sees Jaeyeon talking to a girl. That girl is saying to Jaeyeon, "Come inside," but Jaeyeon is not interested in her. Jaeyeon tells that girl, "I came here with Nabi." Then that girl insists to Nabi and says, "You come too." Then Nabi notices that girl also has a butterfly tattoo on her wrist, just like the one Jaeyeon had drawn on Nabi's wrist. Nabi refuses this girl and leaves from there. Jaeyeon clearly tells that girl, "I don't want to go inside with you." Jaeyeon and Nabi both start walking towards home. Then Jaeyeon asks Nabi, "Why were you leaving me alone and going?" Nabi says, "I thought you would get busy with that girl." Jaeyeon says, "It was nothing like that." Nabi tells him, "That girl also had a butterfly tattoo on her hand." And to this, Jaeyeon says, "The girl has a crush on me, so she got that tattoo." Jaeyeon's words don't have much effect on Nabi, and she says, "I am tired. I want to go home." Jaeyeon says, "I'll drop you," but Nabi refuses him and goes home alone. After reaching home, Nabi keeps thinking only about Jaeyeon the whole time, and because of this, she can't even sleep properly. The next day, on the other side of the class, Nabi and Crystal are having a photo session. Nabi makes strange poses for Crystal, and Crystal clicks her pictures. While making an awkward pose, Nabi falls, and just then, Jaeyeon comes there like a hero. He supports Nabi and asks, "Are you okay?" Seeing Jaeyeon, Nabi tries to control herself so that she doesn't fall for his charm. Jaeyeon understands Nabi has had lunch. He asks her, "Why didn't you check my messages?" Nabi says, "I didn't get time to check my phone." Jaeyeon asks Nabi, "You're not that busy? That you don't even have time for lunch?" Nabi has no answer to this, and she has to go for lunch with Jaeyeon. That night, Nabi reads all of Jaeyeon's text messages, and to console her heart, she tells herself, he probably texts all girls like this. Just then, she gets another message from Jaeyeon. After much thinking, understanding, and controlling her emotions, Nabi sends a reply of just one word. After sending the message, Nabi gets a call from Jaeyeon. He again starts flirting with Nabi. Now Nabi also starts feeling for him. Then, both talk late into the night. The next day, a worker from the department office approaches Jaeyeon because another colleague is needed in the department. Jaeyeon refuses at first, but when the office staff tells him Nabi will also work here, Jaeyeon says yes to that job without a second thought. The next morning, Nabi is still sleeping when her doorbell rings repeatedly. When Nabi opens the door, she sees Jaeyeon has come to the door. Jaeyeon doesn't even give Nabi a chance to say anything and kisses her. Then an intimate scene between them is shown. But that scene is cut in between and we find out this was all Nabi's dream. Just then, Nabi wakes up from sleep and Jaeyeon calls. When Nabi looks at the clock, she realizes, I am late for my presentation. Nabi runs to college and tells the professor, "Can I give my presentation in this class?" The professor, seeing her tired state, gives permission. Nabi goes and sits on her bench and notices that she has a pimple on her chin. In class, Jaeyeon comes and sits next to her and tries to talk, but Nabi keeps hiding her pimple the whole time. Then, Nabi goes to the washroom because she thinks, my periods have started. But nothing like that happens. She feels quite relaxed. In the classroom, Nabi goes to give her presentation, but in the middle of the presentation she realizes, my periods have now really started and the flow is quite heavy. Nabi remains in this tension the whole time, and as soon as the presentation ends, she goes out of the class. Jaeyeon understands. Nabi is upset, so he goes after her. Nabi sets her purse aside so that no one notices her stain. Jaeyeon understands everything and ties his jacket around Nabi's waist so that no one sees anything. Nabi really likes this gentlemanly gesture of his. From this day on, the conversation between them increases even more. Later, Nabi goes to the supermarket with Crystal. Crystal sees that she is texting Jaeyeon. Crystal again warns Nabi, saying, Jaeyeon reacts like this to every girl. You are one of them too. Nabi doesn't like what Crystal said at all, and she leaves from there. Just then, Crystal shouts, Later, when your heart breaks, don't come to me. I warned you. Crystal understands. Nabi has been hurt by this so much. To freshen Nabi's mood, she says, "Tomorrow all my friends are going to hang out. Jaeyeon will also come." Crystal tells Nabi, "This is the right opportunity to check. Does Jaeyeon make only you feel special? He behaves like this with all girls." Saying this, Crystal leaves from there. Nabi falls into deep thought. Coming home, Nabi stalks Jaeyeon's Instagram, and while checking followers, she finds out mostly only girls follow Jaeyeon, and Jaeyeon also follows only girls. Nabi gets angry seeing this and she throws his jacket down. But later, when she feels a little bad, she picks up the jacket and folds it neatly. Then in the evening, everyone is partying, but Jaeyeon hasn't arrived yet. Just then, Jaeyeon comes to the party and all the girls go crazy after him. A guy sitting next to Nabi starts talking weirdly with her. Nabi doesn't like his behavior at all. A little later, when Nabi, Crystal, and Seal go out, that same guy follows her and again talks nonsense to Nabi. Nabi ignores his talk and leaves. In the room, Nabi and Crystal sit and talk about Jaeyeon. Crystal says, "I am now ashamed of what I said about Jaeyeon because I clearly noticed at the party that Jaeyeon was only looking at Nabi." Now Crystal also thinks Jaeyeon might be serious about Nabi. Crystal suggests, "Why don't we invite him to your place tonight?" Jaeyeon comes to Nabi and says, "Don't take that girl's words seriously because her job is to spread such gossip." Hearing this, Nabi seriously asks Jaeyeon, "That girl spread this gossip? Don't you date any girl?" Jaeyeon says, "Dating is not necessary. Two people can get close even without dating." Then everyone else leaves the party. Only Nabi, Jaeyeon, and a few other people are left in the house. They all play the spin the bottle game. The person the bottle points to has to kiss the person opposite them. When the bottle points between Nabi and Jaeyeon, Nabi refuses to kiss. Just then, Nabi hears some strange sounds from her room. She goes to check and sees that two of her friends are making out in her room. Nabi finds all this very uncomfortable, and she tells them both, "Do all this at your own homes." They both are scared, thinking Nabi might tell everyone else. Nabi says, "I won't tell anyone anything," and even goes to see them off downstairs. As Nabi is climbing back up the stairs of her house, she sees Jaeyeon kissing another girl. Nabi is silent. Jaeyeon sees her and tells that girl, "You go back to the party." Then Jaeyeon comes to Nabi and starts trying to convince her, saying, "I didn't want to kiss that girl. I wanted to kiss you." He comes to Nabi and starts kissing her. Nabi resists at first, but then she can't control herself either, so she also starts kissing Jaeyeon. Nabi and Jaeyeon were seen getting closer to each other. Then Nabi takes a step back and says, "Your mouth smells of cigarettes." Jaeyeon, flirting, asks her, "Can we continue our kissing session after I brush my teeth?" Nabi replies to this, "Everyone inside is waiting for us," and leaves from there. At night, all of Nabi's friends sleep over at her house. Nabi sits there thinking. After thinking for a long time, sleep didn't come. So she gets up and starts looking at Jaeyeon, who was sleeping on the floor. Just then, Jaeyeon's eyes open, and he also starts looking at Nabi, smiling. In college, Nabi is still confused about last night's kiss. She is reading articles with titles like, "What does it mean to kiss a friend?" While reading an article, she finds out, if you have kissed your friend, it means you also want to have sex with them. Nabi finds this very awkward. She asks Seol, "Would you also want to have sex with a guy after kissing him?" Seol is shocked at first, then asks, "Why are you asking all this?" Nabi makes an excuse. "I want to understand human psychology for an assignment." At night, Nabi is working on her sculpture in the workshop. She keeps checking her phone repeatedly because Jaeyeon hasn't contacted her yet. Just then, she sees Jaeyeon, who is calling some girl and going out of the campus. Nabi stalks him. Outside the campus, Jaeyeon meets a girl. They both go for drinks and Nabi sees them holding hands. Nabi thinks, "I don't know what magic Jaeyeon has cast on me. I've started spying on him." In the supermarket, Nabi meets one of her juniors. The junior has a crush on Nabi and asks, "Can I have your number?" Jaeyeon sees all this and gets jealous. The junior comes to meet Nabi in the workshop. He tells her, "I saw one of your sculptures last year, which I liked very much." Nabi tells him, "I made that sculpture for my ex-boyfriend." Just then, Jaeyeon arrives and asks, "What are you two doing?" The junior, provoking Jaeyeon, says, "We are both going to watch a romantic movie." Jaeyeon says angrily, "If Nabi doesn't like your kiss, she will push you away." Nabi takes Jaeyeon outside and asks, "Why are you doing all this?" He says, "You didn't contact me either. We are both equal." Nabi says, "I am not the kind of girl you think I am." Jaeyeon replies, "Okay, then I'll stop thinking about you too." Nabi says okay and leaves. The junior was standing in the lobby, listening to all their talk. As soon as Nabi comes, he asks her about the movie, and Nabi says, "Yes." Nabi goes on a date with the junior, and both enjoy. Before the movie starts, Nabi checks the photos in her gallery. While looking at the photos, her eyes fall on an old pic, in which her ex-boyfriend is there. Seeing this, her mood gets spoiled, due to which she cannot enjoy the movie properly. After the movie ends, while returning home, the junior tries to kiss her. Nabi laughs, which makes the junior a little angry. Nabi tries to make him understand, but the junior doesn't agree. After reaching home, Nabi deletes the junior's contact number. In the evening, Nabi goes to the market and sees Jaeyeon there. A little later, she goes to the junior and starts talking. Just then, a girl comes and holds the junior's hand. The girl is behaving as if she is his girlfriend. Nabi feels awkward seeing all this. After the girl leaves, the junior tells Nabi, "She is my high school crush. I proposed to her, but she rejected me." The junior apologizes to Nabi, but Nabi doesn't reply and leaves from there. In the next scene, Nabi falls ill. Just then, she gets a call from Jaeyeon. Nabi recognizes his voice. Jaeyeon understands. She has deleted my number. Hearing Nabi's voice, Jaeyeon feels she is not well. While talking, Nabi's phone battery dies. She goes out to get medicine, but the medicine is not available at the medical store. While returning home, she sees that a large crowd has gathered. She feels something is wrong. After reaching home, Nabi sees that Jaeyeon had called an ambulance because he was afraid Nabi has fainted and fallen. After the ambulance leaves, Nabi asks him, "Why did you create such a scene?" Jaeyeon says, "Because I was worried about you. A person lives only once." Hearing this, Nabi silently goes inside. A little later, her doorbell rings. Jaeyeon has come there with food and medicine. At first, Nabi refuses, but later agrees. Jaeyeon has dinner with Nabi. After dinner, Jaeyeon says, "I fed you, now you repay my debt. Make me happy." Saying this, he picks Nabi up and takes her to the bed and tells her a story like a child. Nabi doesn't even realize it, and she falls asleep. When she wakes up in the morning, she sees that Jaeyeon had also slept with her. He had placed a cold water compress on her forehead to reduce her fever. Now she is looking at Jaeyeon. Just then his eyes open. Then Jaeyeon checks Nabi's fever, which has now returned to normal. A little later, Jaeyeon comes after taking a shower. Nabi asks him, "Why don't you keep your hair in the front?" Jaeyeon says, "Because I get distracted." Nabi says, "Can't you keep your hair in the front just for me?" He comes close to her and says, "Can you tie your hair up for me?" Saying this, he himself starts tying Nabi's hair. Then he looks at Nabi and says, "You look very beautiful," and he kisses her. After the kiss, both sleep together. Nabi regrets her move, sleeping with him, but Jaeyeon behaves completely normally, as if it's a common thing for him. Jaeyeon tells her, "We should occasionally take a break from our work and meet." Nabi tells him, "I will think about it." Jaeyeon leaves hearing this. Nabi thinks to herself, did Jaeyeon mean that he also wants to have sex with me occasionally? In the next scene, Nabi tells Jaeyeon, "We won't tell anyone about our relationship." Jaeyeon agrees, and then a sweet interaction happens between them. Now, while talking, they fix their next date. That same evening, Jaeyeon comes to Nabi's house to study and brings a butterfly gift for her. This makes Nabi even more attracted to Jaeyeon. Nabi knows Jaeyeon is like a butterfly who can never be only mine, but still she can't stop herself from sleeping with him. After this day, both get closer and start spending every night together. When they were together, they behaved like a couple, and in front of people, they behaved like complete strangers. Nabi's life started feeling like a fairy tale, as if she had finally found her Prince Charming. The next day, Nabi and Jaeyeon sit with friends in the cafeteria. Nabi's friend asks her, "Are you dating someone?" Nabi hesitates and says, "No," and asks her friend, "Why do you feel so?" The friend says, "Nowadays there's a different glow on your face." Hearing this, Nabi starts blushing, and Jaeyeon starts staring at her. The next morning, Nabi gets a call from her aunt, and we find out her birthday is approaching. Her aunt says, "You should celebrate with your special person." Nabi thinks a lot, but celebrating with Jaeyeon doesn't feel right because they were dating, but they had a strange kind of relationship. Then she decides, "I will spend my birthday with my family." The next day at the bus stop, Nabi meets her childhood friend, Do-hyuk. Both are very happy to meet. Do-hyuk is a simple, perfect gentleman. When Nabi's bus stop arrives, he asks, "Can I have your number?" So Nabi also gives it without any hesitation. As soon as she comes out, it starts raining. So Do-hyuk covers Nabi with an umbrella and offers, "I'll walk you home." Then both talk a lot while going home. Nabi is very happy to meet him. On the other hand, seeing Do-hyuk, it also seems that he also enjoyed spending time with Nabi. Then, while going home, she meets Jaeyeon. Then they both spend time together. Jaeyeon makes special soup for Nabi. Then Jaeyeon gets a call from Seola. Nabi sees this, and then Jaeyeon tells Nabi, "I have some urgent work." Then Nabi meets Do-hyuk, and he invites her, "Come to my house." He remembers Nabi's birthday, which impresses Nabi a lot. Then she celebrates her birthday with Do-hyuk. The next day, she wears the same dress that Jaeyeon had gifted. Jaeyeon is very happy to see her. Some classmates see them, and word spreads in college. Nabi and Jaeyeon are dating. At night, Nabi meets her ex-boyfriend. He says, Jaeyeon has relations with every girl, and he will use you and leave you. Nabi doesn't like this at all, and she leaves. In the workshop, Nabi hears two girls talking. Jaeyeon is just using Nabi. She gets disturbed. The professor comes to her and points out mistakes in her sculpture and suggests you should not pay attention to rumors. Nabi feels, the whole world is giving me signals to stay away from Jaeyeon. Then she meets Jaeyeon and says, I want to talk about something important. Jaeyeon says, I am busy right now, but we can meet in the evening. Nabi goes to meet him in the evening. She couldn't understand how to end everything. She tells Jaeyeon, my ex came to meet me. Jaeyeon reacts very coldly. Nabi, disappointed by his reaction, says, are you dating someone else? Jaeyeon thinks for a bit and says, no. Suddenly, a man in a white car arrives there. He confirms Jaeyeon's name and starts hitting him. Nabi tries to stop him, but that man pushes Nabi away. Because of this, Nabi gets hurt. Jaeyeon can't control himself and glares at that man. Then he punches that man. A scuffle breaks out between them. Nabi's friend Seol, standing nearby, hears her voice. She sees that Jaeyeon is fighting with some man. Seol calls the police. In the next scene, the policemen let Jaeyeon and that unknown man go with a warning. That man warns Nabi, saying, don't waste your time with a guy like Jaeyeon. He only uses girls. From this, it is revealed, Jaeyeon had also deceived this man's sister. Then, that man leaves from there. Jaeyeon then tells Nabi, I need to talk to you. But Nabi, angry, ignores Jaeyeon and starts to leave. But Jaeyeon convinces her, saying, I still want to remain just your friend. Nabi gets very angry that Jaeyeon still wants to maintain a friends with benefits relationship. She scolds Jaeyeon and leaves from there, and also talks about breaking up with him. Jaeyeon regrets Nabi's actions. Then, the news of Nabi and Jaeyeon's fight spreads throughout the college. Everyone is talking about them. When she comes to class, her classmates ask her, what happened with Jaeyeon? Nabi angrily says, no one should mention Jaeyeon's name in front of me. On the other hand, Jaeyeon goes to meet the unknown man's sister. That girl says to him, I apologize, my brother was a victim of misunderstanding. Jaeyeon tells her, whatever happened yesterday should not happen again. The next day, Nabi gets scolded by the teacher because her art piece has many mistakes. Then she apologizes to the teacher and says, now I will work harder. Then when she goes home, she is reminded of Jaeyeon everywhere, as if every corner of the house smells of Jaeyeon's fragrance. Then she starts to go out of the house because she finds a parcel at her door. It contains the necklace that Jaeyeon had gifted her. Actually, when that unknown man pushed Nabi, that necklace fell and broke. Now, Jaeyeon had gifted her a new necklace for this reason. She likes the necklace, but she didn't want to take that gift from Jaeyeon anymore. So she calls Jaeyeon, but his number is unreachable. She thinks, I will return the necklace tomorrow at college. The next day, Jaeyeon styles his hair according to Nabi's preference. Then Nabi goes to return the necklace to Jaeyeon, so he says, if you don't want to keep it, then throw it away. Hearing his words, Nabi says, you said this so easily. Then Nabi gets a call from one of her friends, so Nabi, hurt, leaves without saying anything to him. In the next scene, Nabi meets her childhood friend Do Hyuk. Both talk in a cafe. Do Hyuk cooks food for Nabi and gifts her a lipstick, which Nabi likes very much. Nabi feels, I am trying to forget Jaeyeon by taking Do Hyuk's support. But Do Hyuk was happy, thinking, Nabi is spending time with me. The next day in college, Nabi asks Seol's best friend, how will my hair look better, in a ponytail or open? Her friend says, there isn't much difference in both hairstyles. By the way, why are you asking? So Nabi says, just like that. A little later, when Nabi is talking to Do Hyuk on the phone, Jaeyeon comes and touches Nabi's hair from behind. When Nabi finds out that Jaeyeon is there, she hangs up Do Hyuk's phone and asks Jaeyeon, why did you do that? Jaeyeon says, I was getting jealous because you were talking to someone else. He asks her, how long will you ignore me? So Nabi says, I never ignored you. Then they both talk about a few things. Just then, Jaeyeon says, tie up your hair, you look more beautiful like that. Then he says, good luck for your presentation, and leaves. Then, at the time of the presentation, Nabi ties up her hair. Jaeyeon notices this. After the presentation, every team leader needed 2 assistants in their group, so Jaeyeon and his friend come to help Nabi. Then, the 3 of them decide, today, we will work on Nabi's art piece at the workshop. That evening, Jaeyeon and Nabi work together. His friend gets late due to some work, so Jaeyeon gets a chance to talk to Nabi alone. He says to Nabi, I'm sorry for the police station incident. Nabi forgives him. Now, while working, they both get close. While going home, Jaeyeon gives Nabi his new phone number. Then Nabi works on her art piece all night. Her work is so perfect that the next day the teacher praises her. On the other hand, Jaeyeon's classmates are discussing he is not going on a date with any girl. Everyone thinks he has become serious about one girl. In the next scene, in the workshop, Jaeyeon asks Nabi, "Will you go to the exhibition with me?" Nabi says, "Yes," without hesitation. Nabi is also noticing the change in Jaeyeon. Then outside the college, Seola, seeing Nabi, drops Jaeyeon's lighter. Nabi is a little curious seeing Jaeyeon's lighter, but she doesn't ask Seola anything. Just then, Seola asks Nabi, "You are Jaeyeon's friend, right?" Nabi says, "How do you know about me?" So Seola says, "Jaeyeon often talks about you." Nabi is surprised to hear this. Then she asks Seola, "What are you to Jaeyeon?" So Seola says, "Jaeyeon and I have been dating for a long time." Hearing this, Nabi gets very angry, but she controls her anger. She says, "You should tie up your hair because Jaeyeon likes tied up hair more." Saying this, she leaves from there. Nabi is so depressed by Seola's words that she decides, "I will go to my aunt's place in my hometown." Jaeyeon is worried about Nabi, wondering, where has she gone without telling me? She wasn't attending his calls either, so he asks her friends, "Where is Nabi?" But they also reply, "We don't know." Jaeyeon also talks to Seola about Nabi's disappearance, but Seola doesn't give any importance to his words and tells Jaeyeon, "I have broken up with my boyfriend." Hearing this, he is shocked. He asks her, "What's the reason?" So she tells him, "My boyfriend had objections to my multiple relations." And we notice that Seola, who had her hair tied up, unties it, which shows she has feelings for Jaeyeon. But Jaeyeon doesn't show any interest in her. He goes home and calls Nabi again, but she doesn't respond to him. On the other hand, we see Nabi's relationship with her aunt is quite strong. Her aunt tells her, "Do Hyuk has come to our hometown." She tells Nabi, "You two are childhood friends, so you two should meet again and spend time with each other." In the next scene, Nabi gets a call from Seol, so Nabi talks to her. She tells Nabi, "We are coming to your hometown for our workshop and will stay there for 1 week." Nabi asks her, "Will Jaeyeon also come there?" So she says, "No, we asked him," but Jaeyeon refused. Hearing this, Nabi feels relieved, but somewhere deep inside, she wishes Jaeyeon would come to my hometown. Then she switches off her phone so that she doesn't get Jaeyeon's calls and then goes out and sees Do-hyuk. Then both go for a picnic on the beach. They both eat food there. Nabi asks him, "You must have dated many girls?" So he says, "No, I haven't dated any girl because the girl I love, that girl has a boyfriend." Then he asks Nabi, "Are you dating someone?" So Nabi also says no to him, which makes Do-hyuk happy. He tells her, "You were my first love. If I had proposed to you during school time, what would your reply have been?" She says, "I wouldn't have ended my friendship with you because we were best friends." Then both start smiling. On the other hand, Jaeyeon sees another girl, so he starts trying to impress her, but still, thoughts of Nabi keep coming to him. There, Do-hyuk is taking very good care of Nabi. His care shows us he loves Nabi very much. The next day was Jaeyeon's birthday, so he gets a lot of messages, but Jaeyeon was just busy missing Nabi. There, Nabi also, remembering Jaeyeon, makes his sculpture, but when Do-hyuk comes to meet her, she hides that sculpture and goes for a walk with Do-hyuk. Now there, Do-hyuk says about a tree, "If you catch its swinging leaf, then one of your wishes comes true." Nabi doesn't believe his words. So Do-hyuk says, "I find these things very romantic, so I believe in these things." Then Nabi catches a leaf. So Do-hyuk says, "Make a wish." So she drops that leaf and tells him, "I don't believe in these things." Then she clicks Do-hyuk's pictures. Do-hyuk also clicks Nabi's photos. He feels, "I am getting close to Nabi," but Nabi is only considering him as a friend. On the other hand, Seola, saying, "Happy birthday, Jaeyeon," gives him a lighter, and she tells him, "I lied to Nabi that we both were in a relationship." Jaeyeon gets very angry at her for this. He then texts Nabi, "How are you?" but she doesn't reply to him. After this, he is sitting in his house thinking about Nabi. Should I start my relationship with Nabi or not? Over there, Nabi is also thinking, should I call Jaeyeon? Just then, she gets a message from Do-hyuk. Then she doesn't call Jaeyeon. The next morning, she goes cycling with Do-hyuk. When they start grocery shopping, the salesman mistakes them for a couple. Do-hyuk is happy to hear this. While returning home, a part of Nabi's cycle breaks, so Do-hyuk gives her a ride on his cycle. Do-hyuk was very happy thinking, I am getting a chance to be close to Nabi. But when they both reach home, Nabi sees Jaeyeon there. Jaeyeon gets jealous seeing them both together. He comes close to Nabi, so Nabi introduces him to Do-hyuk. They come to the guest house. Actually, Do-hyuk had a YouTube channel on which he used to upload videos of his guest house. Do-hyuk gives everyone a tour of the guest house. Then Nabi's friends say to Do-hyuk, "Come to the amusement park with us." So Do-hyuk talks to Nabi about this. Nabi tells him, "If you think it's okay, then you can also come with us." So Do-hyuk says, "I just want to spend spend time with you, no matter what the location is. Now, Nabi's friends are leaving for the amusement park. They tell Jaeyeon, you come with Nabi. When Nabi arrives, Jaeyeon asks her, come with me. So Nabi sits in the back seat of the car. He asks her, why are you sitting in the back? So she tells him, Do-hyuk will also join us. Just then, Do-hyuk comes and sits with them. Now everyone enjoys a lot at the amusement park. Do-hyuk also gets a stuffed toy for Nabi from a machine, which Nabi's friend likes. So Nabi, after asking Do-hyuk, gives that toy to her. Jaeyeon is getting very jealous seeing them both close. Then, on the chairlift, Jaeyeon and Nabi sit in one cabin. When Do-hyuk finds out about this, he starts worrying, is Nabi okay? There, Jaeyeon is trying to flirt with Nabi, but Nabi doesn't respond to him. So Jaeyeon asks her, why are you ignoring me? And you didn't even wish me on my birthday. So Nabi says, besides me, there are other people close to you who like you. But Jaeyeon sits down in front of her and says, I wanted to hear happy birthday from you. Then he starts to touch Nabi's face, but Nabi pushes his hand away, from which Jaeyeon understands, Nabi is no longer interested in me. Upon returning to the guest house, Do-hyuk's sister also joins them, who finds Jaeyeon quite handsome. She introduces herself to him. Nabi doesn't like her frankness with Jaeyeon. Jaeyeon also feels Nabi doesn't like this, and acts closer to Do-hyuk. Then, Nabi's friends praise her and Do-hyuk as a couple, and say to them, you both should get married soon. Nabi doesn't like these talks, but Do-hyuk is very happy. Do-hyuk notices that Jaeyeon is getting jealous, so he says in front of everyone, Nabi is my first love. Nabi is embarrassed to hear this, so Jaeyeon turns red with anger. Then everyone there plays a game. In the game, Do-hyuk's sister asks Jaeyeon, who do you love? So Jaeyeon takes Nabi's name. Do-hyuk's sister gets very angry at his words. Just then, a glass falls from her hand and breaks, injuring her. When Nabi is bandaging her, she asks her, what is the relationship between you and Jaeyeon? Nabi says, we are both good friends. She asks her, why are you asking this? So Do-hyuk's sister says, when I asked Jaeyeon whom he wants to kiss tonight, he took your name. Hearing this, Nabi gets a little worried, but she tells Do-hyuk's sister, Jaeyeon has a habit of joking, so you shouldn't pay attention to his words. After applying the bandage, Do-hyuk's sister tells Nabi, you should also go to the beach because Do-hyuk is waiting for you, but Nabi refuses her. Now everyone is enjoying on the beach. Do-hyuk finds out Nabi hasn't come, so he gets sad. Jaeyeon comes to Nabi and tries to impress her. While cleaning the glass, Nabi also gets hurt, so he bandages her. Due to his care, Nabi again starts getting attracted to Jaeyeon. Jaeyeon, also noticing this, says, I missed you a lot, which Nabi can't control herself from, and both start kissing. Just then, she gets a call from Do-hyuk, but she ignores him. On the other hand, Do-hyuk starts coming to the guest house to see Nabi. After ignoring Do-hyuk's call, Nabi is about to kiss Jaeyeon again, when Jaeyeon says, if you kiss me again, I won't be able to control myself. Hearing this, Nabi starts to leave the guest house and meets Do-hyuk outside. He tells her, I'll drop you home. Jaeyeon is watching them both talk. Now on the way, Do-hyuk has decorated a place to propose to Nabi. Nabi feels his love and gets emotional. Then Do-hyuk also gives her a bouquet, which Nabi refuses to take. She tells him, you're very nice, but this is not the right time for this. I am not ready for a new relation right now. Do-hyuk understands. She is saying this because of Jaeyeon. Then Nabi tells him, I have been in a relationship with Jaeyeon. Do-hyuk says, I have liked you for a long time, and I can understand your feelings. Nabi says, I'm sorry, to Do-hyuk, so Do-hyuk comes close to her to console her, but Nabi leaves from there crying. The next day when Nabi wakes up, she sees Jaeyeon's car parked outside, so she comes down to her aunt. She sees Jaeyeon is teaching her aunt pottery. Her aunt tells her, Jaeyeon told me, I am Nabi's friend and I want to learn pottery from you, so I am teaching him pottery. Nabi scolds her aunt, you shouldn't invite anyone into the house like this. Her aunt asks her, isn't he your friend? Nabi tells them, he is a friend. So aunt says to Jaeyeon, let's have lunch together. Then she goes to the kitchen. So Nabi tells Jaeyeon, whatever happened between us last night, we should forget it as a mistake because at that time neither of us was in our senses. Jaeyeon asks her, are you dating Do-hyuk? So Nabi says, it's not necessary to tell you. Just then aunt comes there, so Jaeyeon tells them, can I come to learn pottery from you during the vacation? So Nabi's aunt says, yes. Nabi wanted to stop them, but she doesn't understand how to do that. In the next scene, Nabi is going back, so Do-hyuk comes to see her off. He has also brought brownies for her. Now, out of the bus, he tells Nabi on call, I will not give up on you so easily until you get another boyfriend or tell me I don't like you. His words confuse Nabi. In the next scene, Nabi is waiting for Jaeyeon's call. Just then, she gets a call from Do-hyuk. He tells her, I am coming to Seoul very soon, and asks, do you want to meet me? Nabi says, yes, to him. Then both talk for a long time. The next day, Nabi tells Jaeyeon, "Whatever belongings of yours are in my house, take them, or I will throw them away." To this statement of Nabi, Jaeyeon says, "You have kept those belongings safe till now." He smiles, which makes Nabi angry at him. She tells him, "I will soon throw away your belongings." So Jaeyeon says, "I will soon take my belongings." After this, Nabi goes to an art exhibition with Jaeyeon. This is the same exhibition where Nabi's ex-boyfriend had insulted her. After this, Jaeyeon tells her, "I fell in love with a girl at this very exhibition when I saw this girl's statue." From this we understand he is talking about Nabi. But Nabi finds all of Jaeyeon's words to be lies, so she doesn't believe them. The next day in art class, the teacher makes Jaeyeon stand as a model, so everyone starts sketching him. Now in class, Jaeyeon's entire attention is only on Nabi. After class, Nabi meets Do-hyuk. He has brought a lot of food for Nabi. Then, both spend a lot of time together. Jaeyeon also sees them both together. Now, after eating, Do-hyuk shows her some videos of his channel, so Nabi comes close to him to watch on his mobile. After this, Nabi takes Do-hyuk to show him a sculpture that she had made herself. Do-hyuk likes her sculpture. He asks her, "Did anyone assist you?" So Nabi says, "Yes, I have 2 assistants," but she doesn't tell him about Jaeyeon being her assistant. Now, after Do-hyuk leaves, Nabi checks a message on her phone in which she had sent her CV to an art academy, so she is rejected by them. Nabi gets very sad seeing this. In the next scene, Jaeyeon and Nabi, they are in a cafe. Nabi was somewhat worried. Jaeyeon asked her, "What's wrong?" But Nabi doesn't tell him anything. Then she gets a message from Do-hyuk, so she starts talking to him. So Jaeyeon feels very bad. He asks Nabi, "Do you like Do-hyuk?" So Nabi says, "Why are you so interested in knowing this?" So Jaeyeon asks, "What is so special about Do-hyuk that you are so attracted to him?" So Nabi says, "He is very caring and kind. He has many qualities." She lists all his qualities one by one. So Jaeyeon feels even more jealous. He tells her, "If he has so many qualities, then why don't you date him?" So Nabi says, "If I date him, he will be disappointed in me because of how he perceives me. I am not like that." Then Jaeyeon says, "Then why don't you date me?" So Nabi glares at him angrily. Meanwhile, on the other side, Do-hyuk goes to Nabi's house to give her a gift. He sees Nabi coming late at night with Jaeyeon near her house. Actually, Jaeyeon had come to take his belongings. Nabi tells him, "You wait outside, I'll bring your things." Now Jaeyeon sees Do-hyuk outside, so to make him jealous, he tells Nabi, "I'll also help you pack your things." Nabi also says, "Okay." So Jaeyeon goes inside the house with her. Seeing this, Do-hyuk gets very hurt and he starts crying emotionally. Inside the house, Jaeyeon collects his things and sits next to Nabi. He tries to kiss her, but Nabi refuses him and says, "We shouldn't repeat our mistakes again and again." So Jaeyeon asks her, "Do you think our closeness is a mistake?" So Nabi says, "Yes, and I think you must feel the same way." Hearing this, Jaeyeon says, "I like spending time with you. Think about our relationship one more time, then let me know." Then Jaeyeon leaves from there. Then he goes home and looks at Nabi's sketches, which are pictures of her. He tells himself, "I become a changed person with Nabi." On the other side, Nabi is also thinking about him. Then she looks at her phone, in which Do-hyuk's message said, "Can we meet right away?" She tells him, "I just saw your message. If it's not too urgent, we can meet next time because I'm very tired right now." Then we see Do-hyuk thinking about Nabi. Should I give up on Nabi? In the next scene, Jaeyeon finds out Nabi was rejected from the art academy where she had applied. After this, Nabi has to face a lot of scolding from the teacher because of her art piece. She tells her, "You need to add your emotions to your art piece, only then will you be able to change an ordinary art piece into a masterpiece." Now Nabi is very upset by the professor's scolding. Then, she gets a call from Do-hyuk, so she tells him everything. She also tells him, "I wasn't selected." Jaeyeon, standing outside, hears all this and gets very jealous because Nabi hadn't told him anything even when he asked. He feels, "Nabi has now given up on me." On the other side, Do-hyuk motivates Nabi and tells her, "I will come to Seoul in a few days. Will you meet me?" So Nabi says yes to him. In the next scene, Jaeyeon, while dropping Nabi home, gifts her a bracelet, which Jaeyeon had made himself. Nabi likes this gift. In the next scene, Do-hyuk sees Jaeyeon in a cafe with Seola. There, Seola tells Jaeyeon that she is shifting from this country. Then, while leaving, they both hug and say goodbye. That night, Nabi goes to meet Do-hyuk. He gifts her an album which contains Nabi's pictures. Nabi likes this gift very much. Then, Do-hyuk talks to her about seeing her with Jaeyeon that day. "I felt jealous seeing you two together." Nabi tries to explain to him, but Do-hyuk tells her, does he really like you? Now Nabi doesn't have an answer to this question either, because she wasn't sure, does Jaeyeon love me, or is he just passing time? On the other hand, Jaeyeon is sitting drunk outside Nabi's house. As soon as Nabi arrives, he asks her, "Were you with Do Hyuk?" Seeing his condition, Nabi understands. He is drunk, so she starts to leave, but Jaeyeon grabs her hand. He tells her, "Does he still like you? He saw us together that day." Nabi tells him, "If you saw Do Hyuk, why didn't you tell me?" Jaeyeon says, "Do I have to explain everything in front of Do Hyuk? Nothing happened between us that day, but it has happened many times before." Nabi gets very angry at Jaeyeon's words. She asks him, "Is this the reason you're dating me?" He tells Nabi, "Do you regret being with me?" So Nabi says, "Yes," and tells him, "You have ruined our friendship along with our relationship, and I am also to blame for this. I knew from the beginning that our relationship would not have a happy ending, but still, I kept telling myself that things can change." Then she tells Jaeyeon, "Now I don't want to meet you." Then she walks away from there. Nabi knew, my relationship with Jaeyeon cannot turn into love. Realizing this, she cries a lot. Outside, Jaeyeon thinks, my and Nabi's relationship broke only because of my mistake. After coming home, he keeps thinking about Nabi all the time. On the other hand, Nabi is also thinking about Jaeyeon. She couldn't remember his wrong behavior, only his teary eyes and sweet voice were coming to her mind. The next day, Jaeyeon tries to talk to Nabi again, but Nabi ignores him and walks away. She tells her friend, "Tell Jaeyeon, I don't need his help for my art piece." She had now decided, I will not interact with Jaeyeon again. In the next scene, when Nabi comes to the workshop, she finds out from her friends, "Your art piece has fallen and broken." She is shocked to see this. When the management finds out about this, everyone supports Nabi, because whatever happened with Nabi was not her fault. Jaeyeon finds out about Nabi's art piece from Seola, so he goes to her. He sees Nabi sitting near her art piece, crying. So he goes and sits next to her. He tells her, "We will fix this art piece together." Hearing Jaeyeon's words, Nabi glares at him, but Jaeyeon says, "Don't worry, as soon as your art piece is complete, I will go away from you forever. I will never come in front of you again." Then the next day, Jaeyeon, Nabi, and one of their friends work together to fix that art piece. Working with Jaeyeon, Nabi felt, it's as if there had been no fight between us. Then in a few days, Nabi's art piece is completed. Upon completion of the art piece, Jaeyeon starts to leave from there. While leaving, he tells Nabi, "You look most beautiful and complete when you are working on your art piece." Then he says, "Best of luck for your exams," which were going to be held in a few days. He wanted to say something more, but despite trying, he couldn't. At the same time, he leaves from there. Seeing Jaeyeon going away from her, Nabi also gets emotional. After reaching his home, Jaeyeon sets all his butterflies free. His behavior showed he loved Nabi very much. Then he takes his belongings and goes very far away from Nabi. After the exam is over, Nabi goes to meet Do Hyuk. He tells her, "I will definitely come to the exhibition to see your art piece." Nabi then starts talking to Do Hyuk about her art piece. Now, while talking about this, Nabi remembers Jaeyeon. Do Hyuk also feels she is remembering Jaeyeon, so he gets a little sad. When Nabi realizes this, she changes the topic. Then going home, she sees a diary that Jaeyeon had sent for her. Nabi sees, "Jaeyeon had made my sketch in it." This was the sketch when Jaeyeon had seen Nabi for the first time in the exhibition, when she had gone to her ex-boyfriend's art exhibition. Then Nabi calls Jaeyeon, but his phone is switched off. Now at the exhibition, everyone likes Nabi's art piece a lot. Her professor says, "If you continue to work hard like this, you will soon be able to fulfill your dreams and go to Paris." Even after hearing so much praise, Nabi doesn't feel happy. Do Hyuk also comes there and praises her art piece a lot. Just then, Nabi sees Jaeyeon there. He sees them both together and goes out. So Nabi goes after him, but by then he has left from there. Then Do Hyuk asks Nabi, "Do you still like Jaeyeon?" So Nabi answers him, "Yes," which makes Do Hyuk sad. Nabi says, "I'm sorry," to Do Hyuk. But Do Hyuk says, "You don't need to apologize because I have no regrets about my feelings." Then he says, "Bye," to her and leaves. Sometime later, Nabi goes to the exhibition again and sees Jaeyeon there. She asks him, "What are you doing here?" So Jaeyeon says, "I'm sorry," to her. Hearing his apology, Nabi vents all her frustration on Jaeyeon. After listening to all of Nabi's words, Jaeyeon says, "Can we be together again?" So Nabi first argues with him, and then holds his hand and says, "I missed you a lot, so now don't ever leave me." Hearing Nabi's words, Jaeyeon tells her, "I like you a lot." Nabi also tells him, "I want to date you too." Then they both kiss. Then they both get into a relationship together. And with this, the drama ends.